Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Starship Horizon, watching the massive alien vessel drift closer to their position. The ship was unlike anything he had ever seen before, with smooth curved surfaces that seemed to shimmer like liquid, silver against the darkness of space. "Captain, we are receiving a transmission from the alien vessel," reported Lieutenant Amy Walker from her communications station. "Put it through, Amy," Jake replied, straightening his uniform. The main screen flickered to life, and Jake felt his breath catch in his throat. A woman appeared on the screen, but she was clearly not human. Her skin had a subtle blue tint that seemed to glow softly, and her eyes were a brilliant violet color that seemed to hold depths of wisdom. Her hair flowed like liquid starlight and moved as if underwater, even though she was clearly in normal atmosphere. "Greetings, humans. I am Commander Lyra Vex of the Zephyrian Empire." She spoke in perfect English, though her voice had a musical quality that made every word sound like poetry. "We have been observing your species for some time." Jake tried to maintain his professional composure, but he could not help but stare. The alien woman was breathtakingly beautiful in a way that transcended species. Her features were elegant and refined, yet there was something distinctly otherworldly about her that made his heart race. "Welcome, Commander Vex. I am Captain Jake Morrison of Earth Fleet," he managed to say. "What brings you to our sector of space?" Lyra smiled, and Jake felt his knees go weak. The expression transformed her already stunning features into something that seemed almost divine. "We come seeking an alliance, Captain Morrison. Your species has shown remarkable courage and ingenuity in your exploration of the galaxy." Behind Jake, his crew members were whispering among themselves. He could hear Ensign Kate Phillips mutter under her breath about how beautiful the alien commander was. Lieutenant Ben Carter was openly staring with his mouth slightly open. "We would be honored to discuss such an alliance," Jake replied, trying to focus on diplomacy rather than the mesmerizing creature before him. "Perhaps you would consider coming aboard our vessel for formal negotiations." Lyra tilted her head in a gesture that was both alien and somehow familiar. "That would be acceptable, Captain. However, I must warn you that my people possess certain abilities that your species might find disturbing." "What kind of abilities?" Jake asked, though part of him was more interested in learning everything about this fascinating woman than worrying about potential dangers. "We are empathic, Captain. We can sense the emotions and thoughts of others, particularly when they are directed toward us," Lyra explained, and Jake felt a flush of embarrassment creep up his neck. "Do not be concerned. Your thoughts are quite flattering." The bridge fell silent as everyone realized what she meant. Jake cleared his throat, awkwardly. "I apologize, Commander. I did not mean any disrespect." "There is no offense taken, Captain. In fact, it is refreshing to encounter a species that appreciates beauty regardless of its origin," Lyra replied with another smile that made Jake forget how to breathe. "I will transport to your vessel within the hour." When the transmission ended, Jake found himself staring at the blank screen until Lieutenant Walker cleared her throat. "Sir, should I prepare the conference room for the meeting?" "Yes, of course," Jake said, shaking himself back to reality. "And make sure security is present but not intrusive. We want to show respect for our guest." An hour later, Jake stood in the transport bay waiting for their visitor to arrive. When the shimmering light of the transporter beam faded, Lyra Vex stood before them in person, and Jake realized that the screen had not done her justice. She was tall and graceful, moving with fluid motions that seemed to defy gravity. Her uniform was form-fitting and made of some material that seemed to shift colors in the light. "Captain Morrison," she said, extending her hand in a very human gesture. "Thank you for welcoming me aboard your vessel." Jake took her hand and felt a strange tingling sensation travel up his arm. Her skin was warm and smooth, but there was something electric about her touch. "The pleasure is ours, Commander." As they walked through the corridors of the ship toward the conference room, Lyra looked around with obvious interest. "Your technology is quite impressive for such a young species," she commented. "We have been spacefaring for over 10,000 years, and yet you have achieved remarkable things in just a few centuries." We learn quickly, Jake replied, proud of humanity, despite himself. Though I imagine we still have much to learn from civilizations like yours. Indeed, but you possess something that many older races have lost, Lyra said, pausing to look directly at him with those mesmerizing violet eyes. You have passion and determination. You do not give up when faced with impossible odds. They entered the conference room where several of Jake crew members were already waiting. Chief Engineer Lisa Morgan stood as they entered along with Science Officer Dr. Nancy Foster and Security Chief Commander Rick Barnes. Lyra took her seat gracefully and began to explain why the Zephyrians were interested in an alliance. There is a threat coming, Captain Morrison. A race called the Dominion seeks to conquer this entire sector of the galaxy. They have already destroyed dozens of civilizations. Why do you need our help? Dr. Foster asked. If your people are so advanced, surely you could handle this threat yourselves. Lyra's smile faded, and for the first time she looked troubled. The Dominion has a weapon that specifically targets older, more advanced races. They use our own evolution against us. The more psychically developed a species becomes, the more vulnerable they are to this weapon. But humans are not psychically advanced, Jake realized. We would be immune to their primary weapon. Exactly. Lyra nodded. Your species represents the best hope for stopping the Dominion, but you would need our technology and knowledge to have any chance of success. The meeting continued for several hours as they discussed the details of a potential alliance. Jake found it difficult to concentrate on the military and political aspects when he kept getting distracted by Lyra's presence. She was not just beautiful. She was intelligent, funny, and surprisingly warm for someone from such an advanced civilization. During a break in the negotiations, Jake found himself alone with Lyra on the observation deck. She stood looking out at the stars, her reflection ghost-like in the transparent aluminum windows. Your thoughts are very loud, Captain, she said. Without turning around, Jake felt his face redden. I am sorry, I do not mean to make you uncomfortable. You do not make me uncomfortable, Lyra replied, turning to face him. In fact, your genuine appreciation is quite refreshing. Most species either fear us or try to use us for our technology, but you see me as simply a woman first and an alien second. You are extraordinary, Jake said before he could stop himself. I have never met anyone like you, human or otherwise. Lyra stepped closer, and Jake caught a scent like flowers and ozone that made his head spin. Captain Morrison. Jake, may I ask you something personal? Of course, he managed to reply. If circumstances were different, if there was no war coming, no diplomatic complications, would you want to know me better as more than just an ally? Jake stared into those incredible violet eyes and felt something shift in his chest. Yes, he whispered, more than anything. Lyra reached up and touched his face gently with her fingertips. Then perhaps when this crisis is over, we can explore what it means for two different species to find connection across the stars. The next few days were a blur of planning and preparation. The alliance was formalized and Zephyrian technology was integrated with human systems. Jake worked closely with Lyra, learning about her people and their capabilities while she studied human tactics and determination. When the Dominion fleet finally arrived, Jake stood beside Lyra on the bridge of a new hybrid vessel that combined the best of both technologies. The battle was fierce and desperate, but the combined fleet of humans and Zephyrians fought with a courage that surprised even Lyra. Your species is remarkable, Jake, she said as they watched human pilots perform impossible maneuvers to protect damaged Zephyrian ships. You fight not just for yourselves, but for everyone. The war was won, but at great cost. Many ships were lost and many brave souls gave their lives for the freedom of the galaxy. In the aftermath, as they surveyed the wreckage, Jake felt a hand slip into his. What happens now? He asked, looking at Lyra. Now, we rebuild, she replied. Together. And perhaps we learn what it truly means to be more than just allies. Jake squeezed her hand gently, marveling at how something so impossible could feel so right. I would like that very much. As they stood together, watching the sunrise over a liberated world, Jake Morrison realized that sometimes the most beautiful things in the universe came from the most unexpected places. and sometimes love could bridge any distance even between the stars.